Hello everyone, Graph here. Just wanted to preface this video by saying this is part of a series in which our Everway group tried to record a one-shot that was meant to be accessible for new players to listen to and get introduced to the game. In this episode, I'm going to be going over with Moo, our DM, to talk about how he set up this campaign for us and planned out the setting and all that. I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
Graph, I want to take some time here to discuss how cool it is to use the 6 card draw to seed a gaming session. There's a lot of different things you can pull together by doing one of these random draws. But what I'm going to do is share an example. If the folks at home want to play along, the reading that we're going to do, you can see an example of it on page 212 of the Everway Player's Book. But an even better example can be found in the Key to the Fortune deck, which you might have to get at DrivethruRPG, but that on page 42 to 47 goes through the same mechanics, and it has a real nice example of how they generated a realm for an adventure in the same manner we're going to do today. So the cool thing is that this week we're going to do a one-off, and instead of working with a pre-generated adventure, I have found that Everway is so flippin' good at allowing you to improvise and tailor things that if you combine the rules light mechanics of Everway with the lazy dungeon master approach that Sly Florish has for prepping for your game, it's a really cool combo. It's quick, it's easy, and players, I think, have more fun because it is tailored to their characters. So that's the commercial spiel for why this 6 card read is so cool. So let's just get into how the heck do you do it? Well, you got 2 choices. You can go with the old school approach and get your actual physical cards. And if you've got the new Fortune deck, you've got the standard Everway deck, and then you've got the season cards also. I suggest that if you're doing this 6 card draw, put the season cards off to the side. Shuffle up your Everway deck, manipulate your deck so that you can take advantage of reversals if you like, and then you just draw the top 6 cards and you make this pyramid. You put down 3 on the bottom, and then you put 2 on top of that, and at the top of the pyramid you put the last card you draw on the top, and you place it sideways because that card is tipping and tossing in the balance. And what are these 6 cards? That bottom foundation, the first card is the past. The middle card is the present. And the third card is the future. So you can see that right there, with 3 cards, you can get a lot of information or build up a lot of ideas for your quest or your city or your realm or your character. The middle layer of the pyramid, the 2 cards, are the virtue, what is working in your favor, and the second card is the fault, what are you up against. Again, gives you some wonderful high level information. And that top card, the wacky card that's on its side, is the fate. That's the stakes of what are involved. Is it going to, the reason it's sideways are we don't know yet. Is it going to uh, ultimately land on its upright status, or is it going to land on the reversal status? So that, if you're putting together a quest or a character, gives you a nice feel for the dynamic attention that's going to be taking place. Well, that's the old-fashioned way, which a grognard like myself is hugely behind. But if you are truly lazy, like the lazy dungeon master, you can go to the Everway Discord server, and there is a channel on that server that is called the Fortune Bot. And the Fortune Bot allows you to automatically generate the cards for with reversals, with descriptions. It's pretty slick. All you got to do is type in FD dot draw space 6. So a 6 card draw. FD dot DRAW space 6. Boom. You get all the cards and the keywords. So that's what I did because I'm lazy, even though I love being a grognard. I like putting the technology to use. So what happened when I did that? Well, we got some interesting cards. For our foundation, for the past, we got trickery, deceit. Well, that's always fun to have in the baggage of the past. For the present, we got the peasant, reversed, which means a lack of vision. So we've got trickery and deceit with a lack of vision is where we've gotten up to today. And then the future, these hints, these tantalizing potentialities, the future was the king reversed, tyranny. So since this 6 card draw is to help us create the location, the realm, the nation where our adventure is going to take place, we already can picture this world that has got some corrupt nonsense going on in the past, no vision correcting for that, and if things continue in this direction, tyranny. And we just get that for free by doing fd.draw space 6. But that's not all. The layer above it really got some funky cards. And this is why I, instead of going with a pre-generated adventure or quest, or instead of just trying to totally work off of your own creativity, what's nice about doing these random cards is they send you in directions you never would go. So these 2 cards I think are good examples. The middle layer of our pyramid, the first card for the virtue, we get the creator reversed, which means abandonment. So how the heck do you make abandonment a good, virtuous thing? That is fun for a GM, dungeon master, game master to muddle through. And then the fault, the second card, is the griffin. So the thing that is the obstacle in our way is great courage in the face of danger. So again, this really makes for some interesting quirks for whatever this world is going to be. And then at the top, we already talked a bit. That's what's the stakes, what's at play. And our fate card is the phoenix. In the upright position, it means rebirth, a real positive outcome. Reversal's not so positive, destruction. So I'm going to give a real quick feel for what my initial thoughts were here. I'm going to be very careful to not graph, since you're going to be playing in this one-off. I'm not going to give spoilers. So I think it'd be best if we come back after we do the session, and I can fill in some more behind the curtain ideas that were generated for the adventure from these cards. But I'm going to share the initial thoughts, and then the goal that I usually have when I do one of these draws is to come up with a quick elevator pitch for the players so that they can come into that one-off session and get rolling right from the start generating their characters. So I took about 5 or 10 minutes and took the thoughts that I got from these cards, and I just whipped together a couple paragraphs for that elevator pitch. So I'll share that after I get the first thoughts here. So we've already started a bit where we got trickery, deceit in the past, nobody's mind in the shop, we don't have any vision, and we got some bad tyrannical potential in the offing. Well, that middle layer, the abandonment versus the fault of, of the incredible courage, and especially courage in battle, led me to take those negatives and just push them up to 11, or take those positives and push them up to 11 to see if you can make a positive into the flip side. So another example of this would be you're trying to put together a resume for a job you're applying for, and they ask you that standard interview question, well, what's your greatest fault? And you come up with one of those answers where you say, my fault is that I am just such a hard worker, that I just put in hours and hours and hours, and I put in, way too many hours. So you try to take that negative and make it a positive. That same approach is what I would do with the fault card. So find a way to make the bravery get in the way. And then with that really tasty virtue card of abandonment, is see what could be done where maybe the more introverted approach rather than the external could come into play. What options could you give the players with that? So I really like that, as lazy as I am, I don't have to figure out what it's about. I'm going to say that this realm is in a position, this nation is in a position where its existence is on the line. It's all coming down to the one-off session we're going to play. We play that session, and if the heroes win, hooray, the realm is reborn. If not, game over. Everybody dies. Realm is gone. So that creates some fun stakes right out of the gate. Another trick that I like to do, Everway encourages very folksy names, taking common objects, animals, what have you, and using those as names rather than trying to go all Tolkien and come up with uh, uh, all sorts of like your own language. So I'm going to be lazy, and I'm just going to take and name things based off of what we learned here from these cards. And you'll see some examples of that. So I think that gives an idea of how to use the cards graph without giving you an unfair advantage versus the rest of the players here. Is there anything else you can think of, or things you'd
Um,
add?
Yeah, the only thing I'd mention is that like sometimes the DM can also include the players in this process of interpreting the cards and stuff. Like we've done that with previous games, and it can be a lot of fun to let the players in on a little bit of the world building without revealing the plot.
That is a really, really good. Uh, that's a very good catch because this is a nice technique to force yourself to go off the beaten track and get all those nice, weird, random items. It's really nice to be lazy and not kill yourself on prep. But boy, what you just mentioned is huge. When we've used this with all the players for like a session zero, sometimes we've done like two sessions that were just session zero. I know once we did like three. And it at the start, you always are sort of like, let's get going, let's get going, let's get playing. But when we've put that time in with the session zero and cooperated together and collaborated to build the world, it really sang. I think that that's a very strong uh, positive from this approach.
Yeah.
Uh, were you, did you come in late on the first campaign? Did you
No,
miss
I was
sessions?
there from. Oh, I was one session late, but I still helped with like the map making and stuff that we did.
Yes. And and what I love about that is that now you're not facing we've all been in a situation where we're playing D&D 5e and everybody's looking at their phones. And um, nobody remembers the other players' names, the character names. And that common world building just gets it to where everybody knows and understands not just the characters. I've been surprised at when we come into a session and we got sometimes weeks before we come back for the next session, and folks generally with a little reminder are keeping up on the NPCs, the characters. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm bad
Uh,
with names, but like since we have it all written down most of the time, it's easy to remember.
right. So the my goal has been with the last campaign that the campaign that we're playing through now. I don't think I've articulated this to everybody, so I'm giving away a bit of my secret recipe. I've been doing pretty darn good at doing only an hour of prep for each of the sessions for probably the last month that we've been playing. And in the past, like for the first session we did, I would sometimes put three, maybe more. And to be fair, for those world building sessions, you put in more time. And maybe that's why it gets easier. But I've been the last month with the whichever way campaign. I maybe 2 days before we get together, I try to just get some general ideas, and then I sort of let it percolate in my subconscious and sort of try to pull it all together before we play. Roughly about an hour of time, and I've been enjoying that a lot more than overthinking it. And then it also, since I haven't invested all that time, when you guys as players come up with stuff, it's so much easier for me to just roll with what you come up with. Uh, so, with that in mind, the reason I bring that up is I'm trying to do the same thing for this one off. I want to see if we can pull off a fun session without killing myself on prep. But I do want to be honest. I took like 10 minutes to review the cards and write down this elevator pitch. So I'm going to give the elevator pitch and then we can see how we want to wrap this up. So, off of those cards, trickery in the past, lack of vision in the present, a potential future of tyranny, In our corner, we have abandonment to rely on. And what we want to get past is this fault of valor and courage. And what's in the balance? Uh, Rebirth versus destruction. Here's the elevator pitch. The fate of the realm of Sham hangs in the balance. Will this once great power return to its exalted status of old, or will it all end today in utter destruction? So that I got from that top card, the Phoenix card. For today is the final opportunity for Princess Sheepskin to make good on the foul bargain she struck with the Jackal God 13 years ago. So I'm getting at some of that, the inspiration there, that past, that trickery card. She was only 7 years old when she agreed to the wager. Each year for 13 years, the princess's champions would wage ceremonial battle against the Jackal God's chosen army. If the princess won, her realm would be restored. But if after 13 tries they had not, all of the residents of Sham would lose their souls, which would be woven into a soft, eternal cloak to warm the Jackal God's cold heart. Today is the 13th battle. The princess's champions have been defeated 12 times in a row. They lost so pathetically in the past that none in the realm wished to represent the princess, even though she claimed to have coaxed Sham's most legendary hero, Lord Griffin, out of retirement to lead her cause. So, in the end, you three were strong-armed into service. All in the realm pity you three and the good Lord, the poor sacrificial lambs that will be led to the slaughter this final time. And worse yet, they pity the fate of Sham should you fail. So my first question, Graph, is with that, as a player, does that give you enough to like, boom, jump in and start figuring out your character?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of interesting lore going on with the jackal, and I like the sheep imagery that you've included. Um, so yeah, I'll definitely be thinking of something.
Well, and that's what I love about the randomness of the cards is the sheep stuff, the jackal stuff. I would never have done that. But then I'm going, oh, shoot, I got to make some sense out of these six cards. And then it's really fun to be lazy and go, you know what? I'm going to have an NPC, Lord Griffin. And so I think we've got a fighting chance of pulling this off in a 3, 4 hour game session.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool. Is there anything else you can think of that we should bring up about the realm building?
The only thing I was thinking was like, remember, it's a big game of improv, basically. Like when you were talking about the short preparation times, it's like you don't have to worry so much about preparing because the game is so open to improvising everything. Um,
Right.
and so that's what makes it really fun because
It,
it's
Go
like you're
ahead.
playing along with us, you know? Like you don't have
Hmm.
to stress out so much as the DM as you would in a D&D game.
You would recognize a bunch of times in our latest campaign where somebody makes an off the cuff remark, and then I will incorporate that in the next session. So somebody will mention a video game, and then I'll take characters from that video game and you know fold them in or aspects of them or whatever. And um, what's I think is cool about that is that it is exactly improv that improv feel. And then um, with other games, I'll just be upfront to try to. There's this level of when you're GM where you want to control things and you want to make sure that you're on solid footing, and so you overdo on the prep. And I've been impressed with how Everway has helped me more than with other games to sort of just trust the improv piece that it'll go. Anyway, so yeah, that's a really good call out that it does create the free spirit. So I think it'll be a lot of fun because there are some ideas for this session that came from these 6 cards that um, I would like to go through after we do the session graph, and I'll just talk through things that hour of time that I had to plan. How did I budget in a lazy dungeon master way to cover the big things that I would need? And it will be fun to come back and say after the adventure, okay, remember this thing when that happened? That all got came up as an idea from the third card or the Phoenix card or whatever. I think that would be kind of a looking back hoot, if you will.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Well, thanks a bunch.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to take this elevator pitch and I'll post it out for the other players so that everybody can start dreaming up characters just like you, and then we should have a lot of fun on Thursday.
Wonderful. All right, I'll talk to you then.
Cool. Catch you later.
See ya.